Welcome back to Doomed Departures. At 4:17 on a July afternoon in 121-degree heat, a search and rescue helicopter out of our district hovered 30 feet above a woman on the floor of a side canyon, and the flight medic leaned out of the open door and looked down at her. She was sunburned. She was staggering. She had no pack, no water, and no shade within a mile, and every instrument of training and instinct in that aircraft said this person has perhaps 3 hours left. And the woman looked up into the rotor wash, raised one hand, and waved them off. Not a weak wave, not a confused wave. The medic described it in the incident report with a phrase I have never been able to forget. He wrote, "She waved us away like we were a waiter bringing the wrong order. Then she gave them a thumbs up, turned her back on the only air-conditioned machine within 40 miles, and kept walking the wrong way." The helicopter held the hover for 90 more seconds, logged a refusal of assistance, and banked south toward another call. It never came back. By the time anything came back, there was nothing left to rescue. Before I walk you into that canyon, I owe you the same honest words as always. This is a dramatization. It is a composite, built from the documented pattern of heat deaths and refused rescues that repeat across this desert every single summer, with invented people standing in for the very real ones. The canyon is real, the heat is real, the helicopter protocols, the hand signals, and the mistakes are all real. Only the names are not. I am a ranger, and for a good part of my career, I have been the one coordinating the ground side of searches like this one, standing at a folding table with a radio, moving pins on a map while the temperature climbs. And I will tell you now the fact this whole story turns on, so you can carry it with you the entire way down. In this desert in July at midday, a person without water is not living through a difficult afternoon. A person without water is a countdown. The body loses about a liter of sweat an hour in that heat, and there is no toughness, no fitness, no attitude that renegotiates that number. The desert does not take requests, it takes moisture. Her name for today is Donna. 56 years old, from the Chicago suburbs, traveling alone that summer. And I want to be careful with her because Donna was not stupid. Donna ran a small business for 30 years. Donna raised 2 kids on stubbornness and coupons, and everyone who described her to us used the same word, independent. And they used it with love and with exhaustion in equal measure. She was the woman who returned the contractor's work until it was right, who never once in her life let a stranger carry her suitcase, who read every fine print line of every contract. Hold on to that last one. Because what killed Donna was not ignorance of the desert. It was a piece of fine print she thought she had read, about a bill that did not exist. She left the trailhead at 9:40 in the morning on a day with an excessive heat warning posted in 3 places she walked directly past. A ranger at the kiosk, a colleague of mine, gave her the standard talk, 1 gallon per person minimum off the exposed sections by 11, and Donna lifted her single half-liter bottle, the kind you get free at a hotel gym, smiled, and said she was just doing the short loop. That is warning 1, and I am not going to count them out loud this time, because the count is not the story today. The story is what happened at 4:17. But know that the morning had the usual shape. 2 separate parties heading out early, past her heading in late, and both said something, and both got the smile. The short loop out there is 5 miles with no shade. In 121 degrees, 5 miles cost your body roughly 3 liters. She was carrying half of one. By 1 o'clock, her bottle had been empty for 2 hours, and Donna had made the mistake that turns hot into fatal. At the junction where the short loop bends home, she went straight, following a wash that looks exactly like the trail if you have never seen either before. And it took her gently, invitingly, one downhill mile in the wrong direction. This is the boring mechanical part of every heat death, and I refuse to skip it. Nobody dies dramatically out here. They die one reasonable seeming choice at a time. The wash was easier walking. Downhill felt like progress. The canyon walls promised shade around every next bend and delivered it around none. By 2, her body was pulling water out of her blood plasma to keep sweating, which thickens the blood, which makes the heart work harder, which generates more heat, which demands more sweat. Understand this loop because it is the whole machine of a heat emergency. The body fights heat by spending water, and when the water is gone, it starts spending you. I need to pause the clock here and tell you what 121 degrees was doing inside her while she walked, because the desert's cruelest trick is not the heat itself. It is which organ the heat takes first. The human machine runs at 98.6, and it starts failing in earnest at 104, and the distance between those two numbers on an exposed canyon floor in July is about 90 minutes of walking without water. Long before the body reaches the emergency, the brain enters it. The same dehydration that thickens the blood starves the brain of perfusion, and the first faculties to dim are exactly the ones you need to recognize that you are in trouble. Judgment, time sense. The ability to compare how you feel now against how you felt an hour ago. Heat illness does not arrive feeling like weakness, it arrives feeling like certainty. Victims in this stage tell passing hikers they are fine with total sincerity because the instrument that would measure the lie is the instrument that is failing. Her body, by mid-afternoon, had moved to the last line of defense, and here is the detail that fools everyone, including victims. Late-stage heat stroke often stops the sweating entirely. The skin goes dry and flushed and almost regal, and people read it as improvement. It is the opposite. It is the body closing the last valve because there is nothing left to spend. So when I tell you that at 4:17, Donna genuinely believed she did not need that helicopter, I'm not describing stubbornness alone. I am describing a brain that was, in the most literal medical sense, no longer qualified to hold the opinion, held it with perfect confidence, and out here that combination has a body count all its own. At 3:30, a party of 4 on the rim, sensible people with binoculars who had turned back at 11, spotted a flash of pink on the canyon floor, moving in a direction that made no sense, and they did exactly the right thing. They called it in with a location, a description, and the words she is weaving. My side of this story starts there, at the folding table. We had a ground team 40 minutes out and the helicopter 8 minutes out. And in that heat, you send the helicopter, because a heat casualties clock and a hiking team's pace are not compatible arithmetic. The ship found her in 6 minutes. And then came the 90 seconds I opened this story with. The hover, the medic in the door, and the wave. Now I have to tell you what was in Donna's head because we know, and knowing is the reason this episode exists. 3 weeks earlier, scrolling at her kitchen table, Donna had read a viral post. You have probably read it too. It is the one about the hiker who got airlifted and then got destroyed by a bill. $80,000, 100,000. The number mutates as it travels. And the moral of the post is always the same. Never let them put you in the helicopter unless you are dying. Her son found the post still open in a tab on her laptop. She had sent it to a friend with the message, "This is why I always say no thank you. Here is the truth, and I am going to say it slowly, because this myth has a body count." In the national parks of the United States, search and rescue is free. It has been free for as long as I have worn this uniform, whether it is 2 rangers with a litter or a helicopter with a hoist. We do not bill you. We do not want your card on file. We want you alive, and the only thing standing between Donna and that free machine was a Facebook post with a made-up number in it. She was not refusing rescue. In her mind, she was refusing a price tag, on principle, the way she had refused overpriced contractors her whole life. The fine print she thought she was reading did not exist. There was no bill. There was only a door in the sky, open, 30 feet up, with her name on it. And I want to dissect the post itself for 1 minute, the one with the $80,000 bill in it, because the myth is not a pure invention, and half true is exactly how a lie gets strong enough to kill someone. There are, in this country, private air ambulance companies, hospital-to-hospital medevac flights, and in some states, those flights really have produced 5-figure bills that really have ruined people. And those stories are true, and they are outrageous, and they travel. What the post does every time it is reshared is sand off the one distinction that matters. A private medevac company and a National Park Service rescue helicopter are not the same machine, not the same mission, and not the same invoice. Inside a national park, search and rescue, ground or air, is a budgeted government function, paid for before you ever arrive, and the crew in that doorway could not have billed Donna if they had wanted to. There is no mechanism. But a viral post does not carry footnotes. It carries a number and a fear. And by the time it reached a kitchen table in Illinois, it had been reshared out of its context the way a flash flood carries a tree out of its canyon, and it landed on exactly the wrong woman. Donna had beaten 2 decades of contractors and fine print by assuming every rescue comes with an invoice hiding behind it. 30 years of being right about that everywhere else is what she was standing on when she raised the wrong arm. The crew did not simply accept the wave, and this part belongs in the record too, because their protocol gave her every out it had. They held the hover, and the medic ran the checklist for implied distress. Is the subject ambulatory? Is the gait purposeful? Is there gear? Is there shade on her line of travel? She was moving, upright, deliberate. They made a second pass from her front quarter so she could see faces, not just machine, because refusals sometimes melt when a person replaces a helicopter. She waved again, and then they did the last thing the checklist allows for a conscious refusing adult in terrain with no landing zone. They dropped a bag, a red canvas drop kit, 2 liters of water, electrolytes, a signal panel, and a laminated card that reads, in 3 languages. This assistance is free of charge. Raise both arms for extraction. It landed 40 feet ahead of her, on her own walking line, a gift-wrapped second chance with a bow on it. The ground team found it the next morning, unopened, 20 feet off her final track. She had walked around it. Whether pride steered those 20 feet or the failing brain simply filed the red bag under not my order, the coroner cannot say, and neither can I. I only know the desert gave her a door in the sky and a package on the ground in the same hour, and the fine print on both said free, and she declined them both. And I owe you the aviation side too, because people always ask why the helicopter simply left, and the answer is procedure. And the procedure is right, even when it ends like this. A conscious adult who signals refusal is not a rescue. Legally, she is a citizen making a choice. The crew logged it, radioed it to me, and I made the call I still turn over at night. We had a second incident running, a diabetic teenager in trouble 2 drainages north confirmed, requesting help, and 1 ship. Triage is not a hard decision on paper. You fly to the yes. The ship went north, the teenager lived, and that is the part of this job nobody makes videos about, that a refusal does not just endanger the refuser. It moves them to the back of a line they do not know exists, behind every person that day who said yes, please, and the desert does not hold their place. The thumbs up deserves its own minute because it is the most expensive gesture in this whole file. In ground-to-air signaling, the code we teach in every safety pamphlet, one arm raised or a thumbs up, means all okay, no assistance required. Two arms raised over your head in a V means help me now. Donna did not know she was speaking a language. To her, it was politeness, the same reflex as waving off a shop assistant, I am just browsing. The medic in that doorway was legally and procedurally required to treat her gesture as words. One arm, I am fine. If you learn nothing else from this story, learn the two-arm signal and teach it to the independent person you love. Because there may come an afternoon where their pride is fluent and their body is not, and the only vote that counts is the one their arms cast toward the sky. You should know she was not the first because the wave off is a known enemy in this work. Common enough that crews debrief it and old hands trade their stories of it like scars. There was a man some years back, same district, who waved off a ship twice in one afternoon and was found alive at midnight only because a ground team leader ignored the second refusal on a hunch and kept his line moving through the dark. There was a trail runner who declined water from the door of a hovering ship because she later admitted from a hospital bed she had followers watching her tracker online and did not want the flight to show up in her post. She lived. She wrote about it, honestly, to her great credit, and that essay probably saves more lives a year than I do. The ones who live all describe the same cocktail from the inside. Embarrassment first, the deep conviction that rescue is a verdict on their competence. The money fear second, and underneath both, the brain I told you about dimming, certain, editing the emergency out of the story in real time. Every crew in this desert flies with that cocktail in mind, and even so, the rules of a free country are the rules. We can hover, we can circle, we can drop water on your walking line. We cannot make you raise your arms. The dust storm came up the valley at 7, the way it does most July evenings, and grounded everything with rotors in it. Our ground team reached the wash at dusk and tracked her prints by headlamp, and I will spare you the recovery scene, except for the one detail the coroner put in writing, and I have never gotten out of my head since. 'Cause hyperthermia and dehydration. Time roughly between 9 and 11 that night. Location 340 yards from a marked emergency water cache, a steel box on a post with a green lid, stocked that same week. She was walking a line that would have missed it in the dark by the width of a parking lot. The desert did not even have the decency to make it a mile. Donna's son flew out to bring her home, and he sat in my office in the same chair Gary sat in, the same chair Karen sat in, the chair I should probably just start naming after the ones who survive. And he asked me the question this channel exists to answer. He asked, would we really not have charged her anything? And I slid the pamphlet across the desk, the one that says in plain type, that National Park Service search and rescue is provided without charge, and I watched a grown man put his head down on my desk and cry over 11 printed words that would have saved his mother's life if she had believed them more than she believed a stranger's post. So do this for me, say it out loud right now wherever you are listening. Rescue in the parks is free. Say it to your mother, your uncle, the proud friend who splits every check to the penny. The helicopter is not a bill. The helicopter is the last warning you will ever get, hovering with the door already open. Before I let you go, the practical page, because Donna's story has exactly 4 exits, and I want you holding all of them. First, the water math is a contract, not a suggestion. A gallon per person per day in summer, and the moment your supply hits half with the car not yet in sight, you are no longer on a hike. You are on a return trip, immediately, whatever the view ahead promises. Second, the clock beats the thermometer. The people who live out here move at dawn and are drinking lemonade in the shade by 11, and the people I meet at folding tables started at 9:40. Third, the signals one more time, because repetition is how they survive the drive home. One arm or a thumbs up tells an aircraft you are fine and sends it away. Both arms overhead in a V calls it down. Teach it at dinner tonight. It takes 9 seconds. And fourth, the sentence itself. Rescue in the national parks is free, no invoice, no fine print, and any post, any influencer, any confident uncle who tells you otherwise is quoting a private medevac bill from a different machine in a different world. If a door ever opens in the sky above someone you love, the only correct amount of pride is none. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Doomed Departures and share this one specifically with the most independent person you know, the one who has never once accepted help easily, because this episode was always for them. I am the ranger who logged the refusal at 4:17. You are the person who can still raise both arms. Stay with me, and on the next departure, I will take you somewhere else. This desert keeps its fine print so that maybe, for one of you, the door in the sky never has to open at all.